Ice Nom is currently the rank 1 diva on ladder with a 60% win rate. And thankfully, because of this series, he gave me a stacked game featuring pro players like Jonbin and Hisang. So let's look at what makes him stand out. From the very first fight, we see some textbook diva play, matrixing the enemy diva micro missiles as well as the Juno's torpedoes. Once the diva is no longer a threat, he turns to mark the Genji, booping him away with his boosters to prevent him from getting on top of Ice Nom's backline. For some reason, the Genji dashes through, making it very easy to force the deflect and deter the Genji from going in deeper. With the Genji under control, he turns to demech the diva, who's getting melted by everyone possible, finishing her off with his tracer. With the diva now under control, Ice Nom flies to mark the tracer, even confirming the kill after the tracer bashes her head through the doorway. Again, we see some more attentive marking, flying onto the Genji once again, but this time he drops to the low grounds. This might look weird, but I assume he thought the Genji was naded, which I thought too, seeing that purple splash effect. You can also literally see him cancel his boosters early to try and flick around and punish the Genji. A very slight misread leads to him losing space and HP, but this is where we start getting into the complex diva play. After pushing back out on the high ground, Ice Nom has 3 choices to make. Firstly, do you mark the Genji who's going on your tracer? Secondly, do you fly onto the diva who's going onto your Ana? Or thirdly, do you fly onto the Juno who doesn't have a brig to help her because she exploded 5 seconds ago? Ice Nom chooses the diva, and I think it's the right choice for 2 main reasons. Firstly, the other options just aren't that great. The Juno can't be punished because she's way too far away, and the Genji on the other hand is basically full HP with both of his cooldowns. Secondly, his Ana is fragile and has nano boost. If she dies, this point is basically Jova. Unfortunately, it doesn't end up mattering since Jonbin accidentally nanos the wrong target. Oh well, now I actually want to get onto some insane and insightful eats that Ice Nom does. He not only eats Pulse Bomb once, but twice, and just for the cherry on top, he also eats Grav at the very end of the game. So how is he able to do this? Well, the first step, while boring, is ult tracking. Tracer's ult does charge very fast, so it's less relevant for that. But you'll never be able to eat a Grav if you never know she has it in the first place. The second step is visual cues. When Ice Nom eats the second Pulse Bomb, he sees the Tracer flank around the bus, which tells him that the Tracer, one way or another, is gonna get on top of his backline. For the first Pulse Bomb, the visual cue is the Tracer shots that go past the doorway. Paying attention to visual cues basically tells you that shit's gonna go down. Which leads me on to the third and final step. Actually absorbing the aggression. Regardless of whether Ice Nom eats the Pulse Bomb here or not, he needs to help out his brig, and in the case of eating the Grav, he needs to help Hisang during his blade. These are all signals of aggression that your character is literally built at absorbing. Of course, there's also having good reaction speeds, but if you're touching Unk status like me, you won't always be able to have schizo level reaction speeds. Switching things up to a different game, mainly because replay codes got cleared, and we can see the dynamism in how Ice Nom plays. At the beginning of the fight, we can see him prioritize the high ground in order to deny the Echo from using it, and to keep the enemy team stacked on the same angle. He then boosters over to the right side, micro-missiling the diva, who's already very low, and now controlling that right side of the map, probably to keep marking the Echo as she's the main dive threat. Comparably, staying on the high ground and marking Evil Toaster on Junkrat is about as impactful as the average set of micro-buffed patch notes. Anyways, thanks to the Infosights, Ice Nom almost explodes the enemy Echo before boostering back out and forcing the entire enemy team to turn on him. So far, Ice has just been controlling the flanks and marking the Echo, but as soon as the enemy Ana pops Nano Boost, as well as the Echo popping duplicates, he switches playstyles to peel for his backline, matrixing as much of that diva's damage as possible. He then smartly baits the diva to chase him, double backing to get healed, where we see yet another playstyle switch. Since his backline is fairly safe, he flies to the enemy backline to try and split their attention. He demechs the diva while at it too, but unfortunately, half his team get nuked by the Echo. Do also note that his micro-missiles on the Zen are a bit too early. Most high-level diva players, including Ice, already knows this, but because they're projectiles, you want to pop them as close to your dive target as possible. Now onto third point with a drastic change in map geometry and a more favourable point for Junkrat, things do get harder on paper, but the key thing here is how aggressive yet safe Icenorm plays. You watching this probably think that the more aggressive you play, the more at danger you are, but that's not always the case. You can play aggressive and safe at the same time. Icenorm here, for example, plays pretty aggressively by boosting onto the Zen and Junkrats, but because he's playing cover, coupled with the Infocytes, he can cleanse the Discord easily alongside eating that Junkrat spam and minimizing the damage he takes. He does it yet again here, where as soon as he sees the Junkrat when he flies back up, he immediately flicks his crosshair to the left so he can still zone the Junkrats while not eating tons of damage. The Echo does get an angle on him, but once again, Ice drops down underneath the stairway, playing aggressively but in a safe and disciplined manner. You can see just how aggressive he's playing, as he's literally the only player in the enemy team's half of the map. But he's still fairly safe considering the enemy team can't easily clear him out. From there on, he gets nano boosted, and barring a slight few micro errors, like getting slept, he melts the Honor Zen backline with ease. As players often do, when they get diffed by a D.Va, they immediately, without hesitation, go Zarya. It also doesn't help that Numbani 3rd is flatter than Super TF's ass. But despite the counter swap, this isn't an issue for someone like Icenorm. D.Va's advantage over Zarya is that she has way more mobility, coupled with the fact that Zarya is playing with a very slow Honor Zen backline, and you can see how deep Icenorm can stay in the enemy team. It'd be way too long and boring to show the entire clip, but Ice wastes an entire 30 seconds from staying in the enemy team spawn, and he wastes the Echo's duplicates. Even when he eventually meets the Zarya again on the front line, he immediately tries to fly up to the high ground to avoid that duel at all costs. And because Zarya has no verticality, he can stay on the high ground for as long as he wants, kinda playing like a fat tracer. He spends the rest of this fight just harassing the enemy backline, splitting their attention constantly, which, funnily enough, ends up in him winning the frontline war. Fast forward to attack, and you can see the exact same thing being done. He abuses the high ground directly behind the enemy team, playing in an aggressive but safe manner, and dropping when he sees the enemy backline walking, in this case the Junkrats. He ends up using self-destruct to remech, but that actually leads me nicely on how to actually use self-destruct. Fortunately, it isn't complicated. Most top level D.Vas use self-destruct as a second life or to allow them to play more aggressively. Sometimes D.Va bombs will be used to zone points, like how Ice does here at the end of the first point to prevent a retouch. But most of the time, bombs should be seen as an opportunistic get out of jail free card instead of a random dice roll on killing badly positioned enemies. Finishing off the map, and we can see everything come together. He starts off by marking the Ana and Junkrat aggression, eating up the sleep dart and junk spam before hard flanking to the left to avoid the Zarya entirely. He ends up catching the Junkrat playing in the enclosed room, which directly leads to a kill, and once he gets the nano boost, the game is officially over. He boops the Ana out of rally and blows her up, which basically secures the map. If you enjoyed this video, check out the playlist in the top right, and also check out my Spilo approved coaching down below. Until next time.